A lot of small agencies are doing great work for clients, but there's a difference between doing great work and becoming the kind of partner a client sees as hard to replace. And that difference has a lot to do with retention. So, in this episode, let's dive into what actually helps small agencies build stronger client relationships, reduce churn, and create the kind of value that makes clients want to stay. Welcome to the Small But Mighty Agency podcast. If you want to grow an agency to seven figures and beyond without working more hours in your business, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Audrey Joy Kwan. I know what it takes to build an agency, including supporting an agency owner in selling and exiting. I also have a master's degree in communications, specializing in organizational development. My team and I have worked behind the scenes of multiple seven-figure agencies and have coached and consulted with over 150 agency owners. All this to say, when you join us on the Small But Mighty Agency podcast, you get real world experience and practical tips that help you work less, earn more, and lead with integrity. So let's go. One of the most expensive things agency owners do is try to figure out everything alone. We stay in our silos, interpret what's happening from inside our own businesses, and make decisions based on a very limited vantage point. That can get expensive fast, especially in a market like this where so much is shifting at once. That's why I think proximity matters so much. And when I say proximity, I don't mean networking for the sake of networking. I mean real proximity to other agency owners who are in it too. The kind of conversations where you get to compare notes, hear what other people are seeing, and start to understand what is actually working, what is changing, and what might not be as isolated as it feels when you're staring at it by yourself. Sometimes the cost is not just that we make the wrong decision. Sometimes the cost is that we make a decision too early, too narrowly, or without enough perspective. That is a big part of why I care so much about creating spaces for agency owners to come together. It's also why we run agency together mixers and why the community exists in the first place. I have seen again and again how much sharper people get when they're no longer trying to read the market alone. And one of the clearest places this shows up right now is in client relationships. Because things do feel different right now. Clients are more careful, budgets are tighter, time is more protected. Decisions are getting more weight put on them. So the old idea that if you just do good work, the relationship will naturally hold, I think that's a risky assumption now. Good work is still the baseline. Of course it is. But what makes clients stay longer is not just that you delivered. It's that they trust how you think. It's that they feel understood. It's that they believe you actually understand their business and can help them navigate what's in front of them. That's a very different kind of relationship. And honestly, that's the kind of relationship agencies need to be building right now. To me, that's where stronger retention actually comes from. It's funny to me when people talk about agencies being strategic advisors as if this is some brand new trend. I understand why it's getting more attention right now. The market is making the need for it more obvious. But when I think back to my own years in agency work, especially when I was deep in the trenches growing a marketing agency in the orthodontic space, that was never optional. That was simply the standard. We never viewed our role as just doing marketing. We viewed our role as coming alongside our clients as strategic advisors. That meant we had to understand far more than the campaign or the deliverables. We had to understand how the business actually worked, what pressures they were under, what mattered operationally, and where the risks and opportunities were. Because if you don't understand the business, there's only so far you can go. You may still do competent work and be responsive. You may still be liked, but there is a ceiling to how trusted you become when all you understand is your business. I think this is where people sometimes flatten the idea of client relationships. They treat it like it's mostly about being likable, being responsive, being easy to work with, or occasionally taking someone out for dinner and having a great conversation. Those things are not bad. They can absolutely help, but they are not the deepest layer of relationship. The strongest client relationships are built when your clients feel like you genuinely understand their world. Not just the marketing problem or the documents they handed you, their actual business. When someone feels like they're talking to a peer who understands the shape of their business, the pressures they're dealing with, and the decisions they're trying to make, something shifts in that relationship. There is more trust, there is more ease, and there's more openness to your perspective because They don't feel like they have to spend half the conversation bringing you up to speed. That is very different from being an order taker. It's also very different from being a vendor who is technically good at what they do, but disconnected from the larger business reality. Clients can feel the difference. There was a time when a lot more could happen casually in client relationships. You might go out for dinner, have a longer conversation, hear something they were wrestling with, and realize there was a new opportunity to support them. That might lead to a new project, a new scope of work, or a bigger retainer. That still happens sometimes, but I think it's happening less than it used to. Clients are more protective of their time now. Their budgets are under more pressure. They're not sitting around casually exploring problems they might someday throw money at. Most of them already have real issues on the table, and they're being far more deliberate about what gets attention and what gets funded. That means the relationship cannot depend on you stumbling into insight. You have to bring the insight. That is what a strategic advisor does. A strategic advisor doesn't wait for the client to perfectly articulate the problem. They're paying close enough attention to say, here is what I think is happening. Here is what I think you need to pay attention to. And here is the decision I would not leave sitting too long. That is where the relationship becomes more valuable. And that is often what makes it more durable. To me, the difference is simple. An order taker waits to be told what to do. A trusted partner helps shape what needs to happen next. An order taker responds to request. A strategic advisor helps the client interpret what they are seeing, understand the risk, and make stronger decisions. That matters even more now because so many clients are trying to make sense of issues that are not just tactical. They're trying to understand what AI means for governance, data privacy, brand trust, and internal decision making. They're trying to sort through fragmented information and figure out what matters, what is noise, and what actually deserves attention. And they don't need more dashboards. They don't need more disconnected data points. They need someone who can translate what's happening into something clear and useful. Like, what does this mean for the business? Why does it matter? What decisions should we make? And what should we pay attention to right now? That kind of clarity is incredibly valuable. It's also part of what makes a client see you differently. If you can help them think better, you become harder to replace. This is also why I keep saying that small but mighty agencies are better positioned than people realize. When I look at where the market is heading, I don't think the future is giant teams doing more production for the sake of doing more production. I think we're moving towards a model with a smaller team made up of strategists, advisors, and strong creative or technical leads. Around that team, there's a flexible bench of contractors and specialized partners who can support needs. And increasingly, AI and automation are handling more of the repetitive production and reporting layers. So where does value rise? It rises into judgment, into interpretation, into business understanding and trust. That is why small can be so powerful. Smaller agencies can often get closer to the client, closer to the business, and closer to the decisions that matter. When that closeness is paired with real strategic depth, it becomes a real advantage. If I step back and look at what actually helps agencies reduce churn, there are a few things that stand out to me. The first is understanding the business. If you only know the project, the channel, or the deliverable, your value will always sound narrower than the moment requires. The deeper your understanding of the business, the more relevant your thinking becomes. The second is being proactive with perspective. Don't wait for the client to package everything neatly before you engage. A lot of the value of strategic partnership is helping clients see what they haven't fully put language to yet. Often they're feeling the friction before they know exactly how to describe it. The third is making your value visible through your thinking, not just your outputs. A lot of agencies are doing strong work quietly and assuming the client understands the depth of what they bring. Often the client doesn't fully see it unless you help connect the dots. If all they can see is execution, you're easier to reduce to a line item. If they can see your judgment, your business understanding, and your pattern recognition, your value lands differently. The fourth is helping clients make decisions, not just complete projects. Sometimes what a client most needs is not just another deliverable, it's confidence. Confidence in what matters, confidence in what to prioritize, and confidence that someone else can help carry the weight of decision making. And the fifth is bringing steadiness. This one gets underrated, but it matters. When things feel uncertain, clients remember who made them feel clearer, calmer, and more grounded. Steadiness builds trust, and trust builds retention. This is also why I think proximity matters so much for agency owners themselves. The more conversations you're having with other owners, the easier it becomes to spot patterns. You start to hear what clients are asking for, what they're pulling back on, what is creating confidence, what is creating churn, and what is making certain agencies more indispensable than others. When you're alone in your own business, everything can start to feel hyper specific. You might assume your client issue is unique. You might assume the market is only behaving this way with you. You can think the answer is simply to work harder or communicate better or tighten your delivery. Sometimes that is true, but sometimes what you're looking at is a broader pattern, and it helps to know that. It helps to compare notes. It helps to hear how other agency owners are thinking. It helps to get out of your narrow vantage point and place your situation inside a bigger picture. That sharper perspective leads to better decisions, and better decisions shape stronger businesses. So when I think about client relationships right now, I don't think the answer is simply better account management. I don't think it's being more available, more accommodating, or trying harder to be liked. I think the deeper answer is becoming more valuable in the relationship. That means understanding their business, bringing perspectives earlier, and helping clients navigate risks. It means translating information into insight and showing up as someone who helps them think, not just someone who gets things done. That is the kind of relationship that holds up better over time. It's the kind of relationship that helps reduce churn, and it's the kind of relationship more agencies need to be building right now. And this is also why I keep coming back to the importance of getting agency owners in the room together around timely topics like this. Because sometimes the best insights don't come from another article or another hot take online. It comes from hearing what other agency owners are actually seeing in real time, what they're trying, and what is helping client relationships hold up in a market that keeps changing. That is a big part of why we run the Agency Together mixers. We bring people together around topics that feel timely, practical, and worth comparing notes on. So if you're listening to this while this particular mixer is still coming up, we're talking specifically about client relationship strategies to reduce churn and increase retention, which feels like a very important conversation to be having right now. And if you're listening later and that mixer has already happened, I still want you to keep an eye on the next one, because this is exactly what we do in the mixers. We bring agency owners together around the conversations that matter now, so people can get out of their silos, sharpen their perspective, and make stronger decisions in their business. So whether it's this mixer or the next one, I'd love to have you join us. You can check it out at agencytogether/mixer-event. The link is also in the show notes. I hope to see you there. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me at the Small But Mighty Agency podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to me if you hit the follow or subscribe button in your podcast app and share it with a friend. I'll see you on the next one.